That's what's up.
But forget the emotional part. Let's get into this MLS life, man. All these coaches and all this craziness going on in the MLS, man. I mean, we have coaching vacancies in Toronto. We had coaching vacancies in Red Bulls. We had coaching vacancies in DC United, Atlanta, and into Miami. And at the end of the day, as the ball got shake and coaches started getting hired, we still had no minority coaches being hired. Very interesting, a little bit upsetting. But I know the score, which Gooch is a part of, as well as Damarcus has done a lot of work and a lot of effort in working with the MLS and trying to change that. But Gooch and Bees, tell us a little bit something about the score and what that's about in the organization and what you guys were trying to do within this transition of coaches in the MLS.
You want to take it, old man? Or you want me to take it?
Go ahead, Gooch.
No, I mean, me and Bees have been part of this group called SCORE that started pretty much last summer when all hell broke loose in America in regards to the response of the George Floyd killing and other social injustices. And we are a collaboration of individuals, of former players, of individuals in soccer, female and male. And essentially our mission is to promote the racial equity in this country by amplifying the excluded voices. And that's advocating for immediate increases in representation of Black people in head coaching jobs and front offices and et cetera, and other, positions like that. So we've been working hard. We've been working with MLSPA. We've been working with Black Players Collective. We've been working in the Black Players Alliance in USL, as well as the Black Women's Player Alliance in NWSL. And we've been just trying to have a collaborative voice to increase representation across the board. I think that, as players, we've all had strong impacts. Bees is one of the best US players to ever put on the jersey in history, right? Mm-hmm. And for me, it's incredible that at this point, it's only now with something like Fort Wayne that he's implemented into the ranks of decision-making and organizations. It shouldn't be like that. You have players like Carlos Bocanegra, like Landon Donovan, like Chris Albright, just to name a few, that have been promoted to that level. And then you have players like myself, like Damarcus, Ricardo Clark even, the list goes on, that haven't had quite the same opportunities. And the question mark is why, right? Why is it? Is it because of our on-field performance? I don't think so, because we're at par.
Can't because of that.
Because we're at par at least, if not better.
That was the first time I seen Bees kind of like, do something that was kind of I like that, Bees.
No, but it's true. It is true. And I think right now, this is why we formed this group of SCORE to highlight that, because it's definitely not our on-field performances. It can't be our off-field, because we're just as adequate to do so as well, as Bees showing now with Fort Wayne. I'm sure it's going to be a huge success story. So I'll let Bees tell his part, because we're in it together, as well as some former players, Eddie Pope, Kobe Jones, Tony Sane, Daniel Slayton on the women's side, Evan Whitfield. There's a number of us, we're just trying to use our platform now and our influence to promote change for that next generation, so they don't end up in the same boat that we were in.
Yeah, I can't really follow what Goose said, but I can, but he basically said everything that what we're about. Yeah, he said it all. That's what we're about. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to affect change and all across the board, with MLS, with US soccer, and how the process of getting Black men and women in those higher positions. And we can do our part to try to help and try to shed light on what they're not doing and what they have not been doing for a very long time. That's rewarding, for us. So I'm go ahead.
I just want to say that, Robin Frazier, who's the head coach of Colorado Rapids, who just got the job last season or a season and a half ago. I'm so happy that he hired Wildy Harris as his first assistant. And I'm going to keep it real. A lot of times, Black coaches get jobs and they're scared to hire other Black assistant coaches. If you look across the college game, most Black head coaches in college don't have any other Black members on their staff, because they kind of feel they have to balance it out, or they don't want to feel like too offensive, like they're taking over, right? And for him to make a power move and one of the MLS veterans, Woldy Harris, to be hired as a first assistant and given the opportunity, I commend Robin so much for being brave enough to do that. And again, setting another trend in the path that hopefully the others will follow. So big up to Woldy Harris. I'm proud of you, my brother. I'm glad that you're getting the opportunity. I know you work so hard and you're going to crush and you have so much to offer and to give back. So I just want to say on that, but let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the coaching circus or carousel. We have Chris Armas, who got hired in Toronto. We have the new hiring in Red Bulls and DC United, but specifically I want to talk about Inter Miami, who is owned by the legend, David Beckham. And this is part of our
Say what?
Segment, and I would like to play something from David Beckham. Basically,
that was new. Well, I ain't never heard. That's 2021.
That's 2021, baby. But David Beckham has hired Phil Neville as the head coach, and many say that Phil, who's one of his close friends, former teammate Manchester United, and many say, listen, that's kind of like going backwards. That's favoritism. That Phil only got the job because he's friends with David Beckham. But I want to play you what David Beckham had to say about that.
Have someone like that come into this club, of course, people are always going to turn around and say, oh, it's because he's your friend. It's nothing to do with him being my friend. You know, I'm an owner of a club with Jorge. Our ownership group don't just employ our friends. We employ the best people, whether it's on the field, off the field, in our backroom staff, the staff that we have working at our training facility, at the stadium. We are running a serious soccer club here. And I think at the end of the day, we hire people that we feel are best suited for the job.
Yeah. So I just want to say, David again, obviously defending hiring Mr. Phil Neville, who until this day has never had a head coaching job for a men's professional soccer club. Phil obviously had a great career at Manchester United, but he went on to coach in the youth programs of the Lions of England, U20. I think he had like a U16 stint, and he also assisted his brother, who got the head coaching job at Valencia, but who was released and hasn't worked since 2016. Phil, last World Cup for the women's, he did lead the women's England side. And I think they lost in the semifinals to the U.S. national team. But fellas, I want to hear from you. How do you feel about that? One, hiring somebody that's that close to an owner can be dangerous, or can it be good? Two, coming to an MLS, doesn't really know the league, hasn't had experience coaching a men's actual professional club as a head coach. Is he really the right person and qualified to take over South Miami?
I'll let B start.
I mean, we're gonna see. We're gonna find out. I mean, that's just you're always judged on your results. You know, you can be a nice guy, you can be Beckham's friend, but if he's not getting results, then I don't see them keeping Phil on as coach. But I just have. I mean, everyone can do what they want with their club. I want to know about the hiring process of what they went through. Who actually did they interview? Did they interview people from MLS, from overseas? Did they interview any black candidates for the job overseas or in America? That's what I want to know. I want it to be a little bit more transparent. I mean, I know it's a club and you don't have to say who and where and when as far as your hiring process, but that's the thing I want to know. You say that you interviewed a lot of people, and because Inter Miami is a club that is attractive to a lot of different people. So you had a lot of inquiries about the job and people that you knew, but you ended up hiring your best friend. That's my question. How did all that end up? How did that just come to just you hiring?
And I just want to say, out of all the coaches, David Beckham must know.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like all the qualified coaches, how is he
the best?
How is he the best one? That's my question.
I know the owner put out a comment because that exact question was sent to him, and I think even I don't know if it was Grant Wall, but somebody put out the comments of
it was Grant Wall.
Grant Wall made a tweet because he wanted to ask them in a press conference, a digital press conference, who, did you follow the Rooney Rule, and what minorities, were there any Black people in that minority group of interviews? And the owner said, we followed all protocol. There was a number of ethnic candidates or minority candidates, etc. For me, I'm with Bees in regards to how wide that net was actually cast, because between the hiring of Phil and the firing of his predecessor, it was less than 2 months, right? And honestly, like you said, clubs can have whatever processes they want to take to hire a coach. Honestly, I would be more comfortable if Beckham came out and said, I know Phil personally, I trust him, and this is what he's going to do and what he's going to bring to the club, rather than saying he's the best candidate, et cetera, because they do have a relationship. Not just they've played together, not just because they're friends. They're co-owners in a League Two side in England together. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Salford, I think it's called Salford
City.
Salford City, yeah. They're co-owners together in that, along with some other of their former teammates at Manchester United, which is fine. It's completely fine. But to say that, and not to undermine his prior job at the women's side in England, because they did a fantastic job. They got to the semifinals in the World Cup. However, I'm just saying, throughout all the candidates, like he said, Inter Miami is heavily sought after. I don't understand how a man has a head coaching job for 2 years, because the women's team is the first head coaching job that he had. That is the most qualified candidate that you interviewed to take control of this franchise.
Not the interview that they selected, because they said an interview of a wide net of coaches. But let me ask you a question. Is coaching a national team same as coaching a club team? And is coaching, he tried to make the argument that coaching women and his lesson plans in the women's game is the same in the men's game.
Football is football. That part I think is fine. But the one part that you just said, about that he hadn't coached or whatever, I think, as far as the national team being the same as the club team, no, it's different. It's different. I mean, you're with a club team, obviously you're working with the players every single day. You know what they're doing. A lot of times you get to, try to implement your style and this and that. With a national team, I think it's a lot more difficult, because you only get the players for a week or 2 weeks, and then they go back off and they play a whole different style of football. They have a coach and they have different philosophies. So to get all of those players in different areas, some play in Spain, some play in France or wherever, all around the world, and to get all that under one roof and only get like a week or two, for friendlies or, qualifying matches, it's difficult. I think so. I think that part is going to be a challenge for him as well.
So you're trying to tell me that he should be qualified because it's harder to coach a national team. That's what Beckham was.
No. I didn't say it. I didn't. Whoa. I didn't say qualified.
Yeah.
I just said that's the difference between coaching a national team and coaching a club team.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't say anything about being qualified because I don't know. I have no idea.
I think obviously one of the comments Beckham made was that, he has experience on the youth side, because he did coach the youth side of the national team. So then he wants that to be implemented on the Inter Miami Academy / the USL team. Cool, great, grand, wonderful. But his primary role is the head coach of the first team, right? And like he said, it might not translate from being a head coach of a national team, right? It might not translate from being a head coach of a women's team, period. We don't know. But there's a lot of question marks in that equation for them to say he was the best candidate, right? There's a lot of we don't know. It hasn't been proven. For them to come out and say he was the best candidate, he was the best selection, etc. So, time will tell. But I was very wide-eyed when they made that selection. I mean, amongst other selections, within their DC United's head coaching selection, Hernan Losada. There was a lot. There was a lot to be said about a lot of these vacancies that were filled recently.
And some of them are going to say that there's a lack of quality amongst minorities in terms of head coaching positions. What do you guys have to say about that?
Bullshit. The lack of quality. So you're telling me that Jay Heaps, before he got a head coaching job, he had quality because he didn't have one? Are you telling me that what's his name? Philly Union head coach.
Jimmy Curtin.
Jim Curtin, who was an academy coach before he was the head coach, that he had quality when he didn't have any first team experience. I mean, the list goes on. You know, you can't say that they lack experience. You got Michael Ensign in the USL, who has his USSF pro license.
Yes, sir. Big shout out to Mike.
But you're going to say that he lacks experience or quality? Like, no, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't translate. So for people to say that, that means that they're just feeding into this whole stereotype and this whole silliness of bias towards minorities. Because if you aren't following racial protocols or racist, you know, thoughts, then there is no, there should be no difference to say that, oh, a minority has less quality. No, the person has less quality, and there's a lot of qualified minorities, I mean, that haven't gotten that opportunity yet.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, it's going to take a while. Look at the NFL and what's been going on. For instance, you know, this same thing, a lot of coaching vacancies. And, you know, as you look across the board, there's so many Black coaches who are offensive and defensive specialists, right? And people who have had so much success, you know, but at the helm, the presidents, the GMs, and the head coach, you know, we don't get those opportunities. So do you think that it's going to we're so far behind the other sports in this country that it's going to take another 20 years for those opportunities to happen?
I mean, I think it just goes to show that it's not just in football and soccer. Sorry, I know you just said America. I know you said football, but it goes to show that it's not just soccer. It's football, basketball. You know, not so much. But it's in every sport. It's not a sport. It's not a sporting thing. You know, it's a equity thing, equality, and really putting onus to, you know, hiring more minorities and more Black people. That is what it is. You know, all the owners can sit at their table and say they interview minorities and people of color, but have you really? Are you really? Or you're just gonna say that and then hire your friend tomorrow? Just say, you know, you did it, or actually, you know, go out on a whim and give someone a chance, and that's not happening in a lot of sports.
And it's funny because they contradict themselves in saying, you know, when a lot of us do go up for positions, whether it be head coach, front office, and they give you that rhetoric of, oh, you don't have the experience. Well, so and so didn't have the experience either until you gave them that opportunity to obtain that experience in the first place. So you're just going to keep me at this level because you won't give me the opportunity when this person probably didn't have the qualifications that I currently have that got that opportunity so many years ago, you know? So it's funny that they love to contradict themselves in that. And sometimes I've brought it up and I'm like, well, how do I get the experience if you don't give it to me?
Yeah, and I mean, sorry, go ahead.
No, you know, go ahead. I mean, that's
no, I'm just saying. I mean, that was me a year ago. I mean, this is speaking me personally. You know what I'm saying? When I was, you know, talking to different clubs and just all I wanted was an experience. You know what I'm saying? I got the football part. You know, the playing and all that nonsense. That part is fine, but the experience of doing the business part of the game and, you know, really trying to put a team together and all these different things that go into a football club. That's what I'm lacking. The everyday kind of how you go about your work day. You know, that's what I was lacking. And I wasn't going to these or talking to these clubs and saying, I'm Damarcus Beasley, you need to give me a job because I played soccer for a long time. Nah. I was saying, hey, I was, you know, saying I want help. I want the experience. I want to be taught. That's how I was as a player. I was even when I was 36, 37, towards the end of my career, I always wanted to learn. There's always something you can learn.
Definitely.
Always something you can learn. You never think that you know everything. You know what I'm saying? So I am 100% okay not being the smartest guy in the room when we talk about football. There's the people that know more than me. So I wanted that experience to be in those conversations. You know what I'm saying? I never got that. Most of the time I got you know, you're not experienced enough. I got I sometimes I didn't even get a call back. You know what I'm saying? Like not even like, okay, we hear you. maybe let's sit down and have a conversation. Didn't get that either. You know what I'm saying? So this is me personally. I'm not talking about what maybe happened with someone else. This is me personally, just reaching out to, you know, different clubs and saying, hey, can I, you know, shadow you, or, you know, just kind of be under your umbrella for a while. And
Yeah.
it was crickets. I mean, there was only really one club that stepped up and said, okay, hey, you know, we would love to do that. And that was it.
That's amazing, Goose. That is amazing.